Dear students, I am Professor Uday Shetty K, Assistant Professor in Commerce, Government First Grade College, Tenkanedi, Udupi. Would like to welcome you all to my presentation on the topic Formation of a Company. This topic, Formation of a Company, is a part of Indian Corporate Law, a subject specified for 6th semester BCom of Mangalore University. In this presentation, I would like to cover all important stages involved in the formation of a company. As you all know, a company is an incorporated association. It comes into existence by registration. Any organization or an association cannot become a company, or it cannot get the status of a company unless it is being registered or incorporated under the Companies Act. So it is very important to understand the important steps involved in the process of incorporation or formation of a company. At this stage, you have to understand that in case of private company, there are only two stages are involved in the formation. That means the stages, formation stage and incorporation stage, are the stages involved in the formation of a private company, because it is a company where there is restriction on maximum membership. It's a company where there is restriction on public subscription on shares, and it's a company where there is restriction on transferability of shares. As such, private company can straight away run its business. It can start its business when it gets the certificate of incorporation, and its formation will be over by the second stage. But in the case of a public company, there are four stages that are being involved in the formation. The stages will be: the first stage, promotion stage; the second stage, incorporation or registration stage; the third stage, capital formation stage; and the fourth stage, commencement of business stage. So try to understand, there are two stages in the formation of a private company, but there are four stages in the formation of a public company. So usually we refer four stages in the formation of company, as we assume a company is a public company. Now let us begin. Let us try to understand all the stages in the formation of a company in detail. The first stage in the formation of a public company or private company is the promotion stage. As we know, before company comes into existence, there are some preliminary activities to be undertaken. In order to perform the preliminary activities or to discharge the preliminary work, this promotion stage will be there. In this stage, business opportunity will be identified, the business project analysis will be done, planning will be done for obtaining resources, and planning will be done for getting capital also. So this is the stage where we can find some people who take initiative of formation of company. They are called promoters. Here, promoters are those people who do the preliminary work which is incidental to the formation. So these are the people who take initiative of bringing a company into existence. They begin with a business idea, they put their effort in getting all the resources together, and they go for the registration of the company. As such, they are the people who are responsible for performing the preliminary activities or the background work which is necessary for formation of the company. Here, a promoter may be an individual, maybe an association, maybe a partnership firm, or a company. There is no condition like only an individual should be a promoter, because one company is also allowed to promote another company, an individual is also allowed, a firm is also allowed, association is also allowed to be the promoter of a particular company. When it comes to the legal position, you have to understand what is the legal position of a promoter in the case of joint stock company. Here, promoter cannot be considered as an agent of the joint stock company. He cannot be taken as a trustee of the joint stock company, because an agent will be a representative who is acting on behalf of the company, but a promoter who starts work before the company comes into existence. As such, a person cannot become an agent of non-existing principal. So a promoter cannot be getting the legal status of an agent. At the same time, he is not a trustee because he is not the person who is doing some charitable work. He is not the person working for the benefit of the beneficiaries. As such, he is not a trustee, but he stands in the fiduciary position. Here, the word fiduciary stands for the relationship based on mutual trust, confidence, and faith. So, in the case of John Stock Company, a promoter should work with that relationship where he should give importance to the mutual trust, faith, and confidence. That means he should not break the trust, he should not break the confidence of other person. At the same time, he should work with an attitude of mutual respect where he should work for the company in such a way that he is standing in the fiduciary position. Now let us try to understand the important functions performed by the promoters. As I told you earlier, promoters are the people who perform all the preliminary activities. Here preliminary activities begins with identifying an idea for business, because business is actually the end stage, or we can say it begins with the idea. That idea will be transformed into business, and then business will be carried on to earn profit. So what should be the business idea is actually identified by a promoter. Promoter will conduct the detailed investigation of the business proposal. He will conduct the feasibility study, whether that idea is technically feasible, whether the idea is commercially feasible. He is going to test it. Then he organizes the resources. The resources may be material resources, financial resources, or human resources. Then he obtain the consent of persons acting as director, because he want to know that who would like to be the director of the company. Then he decide the name of the company. He is going to decide which should be the name of the company. Then promoter will decide the name of the company, and he will prepare all the necessary documents for the purpose of registration of the company. He will submit all the documents to the register for the purpose of registration, and he also performs other functions like entering into preliminary contracts as to the supply of raw material, supply of machinery, or supply of other resources. He will make financial arrangements for the purpose of managing the activities before the final capital generation is being done by the company, and he will also take steps for acquiring of fixed assets. There are some duties of promoters. Here we know a promoter is a person who should stand in the fiduciary position. As such, most of the duties are directly or indirectly linked to the fiduciary position of a promoter. Here promoter is not allowed to make secret profits. He is a person should be very transparent, and he should be a person with having high level of integrity. He should disclose all facts to the members once the company is registered. He should not use, or he must not use his position for the unfair use. In the sense, he should not create secret reserves, and whatever may be the benefits of negotiation that will be passed on to the company, or that should be passed on to the company by the promoter. Here promoter is not allowed to make any profit out of his position as a promoter of a company. Now let us try to understand the important rights of promoters. Here we know promoters are not the agents of company, promoters are not the trustees of company, but they are eligible, or they are entitled for some rights under the Companies Act. The important rights includes they have the right of claiming remuneration for whatever work they do. For the services they have rendered, they are eligible to get the remuneration for their services. That remuneration may be paid in the form of lump sum in cash. It may be given outrightly in the form of cash. It may be given in the form of shares or debentures of the company, or that remuneration may be paid in the form of inducting them to the board of directors, or it may be in the form of giving them an opportunity to buy shares at par or by giving them ownership of company's assets. Here, these are the various modes by which remuneration can be paid to the promoters. Here, promoter has the right of remuneration. If the remuneration is not given, they can claim it by filing suit in the court. Then right to be reimbursed. Whatever the expenses that are being incurred by the promoter can be reimbursed from the company, or he can get it back from the company once it is incorporated. Then a promoter, if there are co-promoters, is entitled to receive the proportionate amount of contribution from co-promoters for whatever may be the expenses incurred by him. Now there are some liabilities also. A promoter has a liability. There are some liabilities under the Companies Act. Here the liabilities under the Companies Act will emerge for incorporation by furnishing false information. If he gives wrong information and if he get the company incorporated, then he will be liable under the Companies Act. Then if he gives misstatement in the prospectus, it's an invitation to the public while issuing share. In that, if he gives wrong information, there will be punishment under the Companies Act. Then criminal liability for misleading information in the prospectus. Then liability for breach of duty. If he fail in performing his duty, then liability for public examination if there is any false information in the liquidator statement. For all these wrongdoing by the promoter is punishable under the provisions of Companies Act, will be involving both penalty as well as the punishment of imprisonment. Then the second category, there are some liabilities for his deed of making secret profits. If he makes secret profit, it will be the breach of his fiduciary position, or he will be violating the terms of the fiduciary position. As such, he is punishable again with the fine as well as imprisonment. Then there are some liabilities for pre-incorporation contracts. If he has not represented the company while entering into pre-incorporation contracts, if he has used his own name, and if he has acted independently while entering into pre-incorporation contract, for all such pre-incorporation contract, company cannot be held liable. As such, he will be held personally liable for such contracts. Now, by the end of the first stage or promotion stage, we know there will be a business idea, there will be set of documents, there will be some preliminary contracts, there will be some arrangement for getting resources, and the promoters are the people who get ready all these things for the purpose of moving towards incorporation, for the purpose of establishing their company in a full-fledged manner. Now we move to the second stage, that is incorporation stage. As you know, incorporation stage is the stage which is considered crucial in the formation of a company. Whatever may be the preliminary contracts that's being entered into by the promoter, the preliminary arrangements that are being made, it is not sufficient to bring a company into existence unless the company is being registered. It cannot get independent status. So in this stage, the name is already chosen by the promoters. They have prepared all the documents. They prepared it in systematic form. Here the important documents of the company includes memorandum of association, which gives the boundaries, which says what is the name of the company, what is the domicile of the company. Here it will be called registered office clause. Then what is the liability of the company, what is the capital of the company, then what is the subscription. Here all these contents will be there in the memorandum of association. It specifies the boundaries within which the decisions are to be made. Then there will be a supplementary document called articles of association. It's a document in which the bylaws are contained for the day-to-day management of the company. Here how the company should manage, how the shares should be issued, how the dividend should be declared, how the meeting should be held. All these rules will be contained in the articles of association. Then there will be declaration by the directors, there will be declaration by the secretary, there will be declaration by the auditors. Here all this, then there will be some declaration by the experts, then some permissions, then licenses, etc. Here all these important documents should be put together and should be arranged neatly in order. Then it should be submitted to the registrar of the Companies Act. Here registrar, who is appointed as an authority to verify and incorporate the companies or incorporation of the companies. He is an officer appointed by the Companies Act of 2013 in India. So the document will be submitted to the registrar. The registrar will verify all the documents, and if he is satisfied with all the contents of the document, then he will say yes, you can proceed further, and he will issue a certificate called Certificate of Incorporation. Here, this Certificate of Incorporation is one of the important document, that is the document which brings a company into existence. Without that Certificate of Incorporation, company do not exist. So here, when the Certificate of Incorporation is received, a private company can straight away start its business, because there are only two stages in the formation of a private company, that is formation and incorporation stages. But a public company cannot straight away start its business. It should move to the third step in the formation of company. Now the third step in the formation of a company is capital subscription stage or capital formation stage. Here we know a public company is authorized to raise funds from public. It is a company can issue shares to public. Here people can invest money in the share capital of the company. Here people or public, they can come forward to buy shares of the company. So while issuing shares or while creating capital, a company issues prospectus. Here prospectus is an invitation given to the public to subscribe in shares. And those people who are willing, they go through the prospectus. If they are happy with the prospectus, usually prospectus will be an invitation to the public to subscribe in shares. It should contain the fair view of the company. There should not be any false information. As I told you, a promoter will be held responsible, or the person who issues a prospectus will be held responsible. It includes even criminal offense also, or criminal liability also, in case of misstatement in prospectus. By reading the contents of prospectus, if someone is interested, he can file an application for share along with paying the application money. There is a procedure that application money will be deposited in the scheduled bank. The company keeps the issue of shares open for a period of 30 days. There will be opening date for issue of share. There will be closing date of issue of share. At the date of closing of the issue of share, if the company received minimum subscription means at least 25% of the total shares issued is being subscribed by the public, then it can proceed towards allotment of shares. It is very important to note that if the company doesn't receive, or if it has not received, or if it didn't receive the minimum subscription, in that case it should stop its share issue process. It should refund all the money to the applicants. Okay, now let's assume the company received the minimum subscription, because there will be some arrangement called underwriting of shares. Here it will be having that arrangement. By that, minimum subscription will be received, and it will proceed to the allotment of shares. Here share allotment means distributing shares among the applicants. There are some procedure for this. Here the allotment may be done by different methods. It may be like first come first serve, where the person who applied for shares first will be getting chance first, then the others will get the chance later. Or it may be in the form of the big lot. The person who apply for more number of shares will be given chance. The people who apply for less number of shares will be given chance later. Or it may be in the form of proportionate allotment, where each person who applied for share may be given in proportion to the number of shares applied. Then once the allotment is made, a letter of allotment will be given to all the people to whom the shares are allotted. And in the case of people who are not allotted with the shares, a letter of regret will be sent along with refund of their money, because the money, application money given by the people to whom the shares are not allotted, their money should be refunded. Later, the people to whom the shares are allotted, they will become the shareholders. For them, share certificate will be issued and their name will appear in the register of members, because from that day onwards, they will become officially the shareholders of the company. They will become the members of the company. they will be enjoying all rights as that of members of a joint stock company. Once entire process of this share issue is over, the person who is responsible for issue of share should give a declaration to the registrar stating the minimum subscription is received. It's a formality, it's a compulsory provision, it's a mandatory for a company to give this statement to the registrar within 30 days from the closing of the date for issue of shares. From the closing of the issue, within 30 days, this declaration should be given to the registrar. Here, by the end of this stage, we know the shares are issued, the capital is created, the money that's being received for the allotted shares will be transferred to the share capital account, and a declaration stating the minimum subscription received is already being given or sent to the registrar of companies. Now, we come to the last stage or the end stage of commencement stage. Here, it is the stage where officially company starts its business. Here, I told you a declaration stating minimum subscription is received is being given to the registrar. The registrar will go through it. The registrar will observe the process of allotment of share, and if he is satisfied that the company is following all the procedure specified under the Companies Act, then if he is happy that the company can start its business, he will issue another certificate called Certificate of Commencement. A certificate of commencement is actually the official license given to the company to run its business. From this time or from this day of receiving the certificate of commencement, a public company can officially start its business. It can carry out all its regular activities by following the guidelines given by the Companies Act, by following the rules specified in the memorandum and articles of association. From this point, a company can run itself as a full-fledged company. Here I would like to close by saying thank you for being with me. Please subscribe my channel. Thank you very much. Let's continue the journey of learning.